Here we are on the queue, and this is the segment in which we get to discuss all the news and happenings in the world of Disney today. So first up, we got Eli's got some news about the Ancient One, sir. What do you got?
Yeah, so check this out.
You got news on your mama?
Oh, yeah. My mama saying hello. She doing fine.
Good.
Yeah, she getting that lotion, knocking the wrinkles out.
Oil of Olay?
She got those compression socks.
Yeah,
right?
you get the compression socks like that what Brett Favre have, make it less ancient.
Beautiful.
That's it.
So she's just one.
Well, with the universe?
When she's done with the non-ancient things, she's just going to be one.
Yeah, she's going to be able to knock your soul right out your body.
Which was a Metallica song, I think, too, right? One?
Yeah. That wasn't a happy song.
But yeah, that was
There's a lot of songs named one. U2 had a one. There's a lot of ones.
A lot of ones.
Yeah, Three Dog Night had one.
Yeah.
Oh. Three Dog Night had one.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Good
all right,
song.
so what we got?
Well, I was going to say, so Men's Health magazine recently had an article with Kevin Fiege, the main Marvel dude.
The dude.
Who has produced many of the MCU movies that we all know and love.
Yeah?
He had made one called Doctor Strange, right, which was directed by Scott Derrickson. And they had a character there named the Ancient One. Now, for those who haven't seen the movie or maybe not read the comic, I mean, we all know who Doctor Strange is, right? Mm-hmm. But he was trained by this bald Asian man in the comics. It's kind of like a
Miyagi.
Yeah, thank you. Miyagi, a mentor, kind of like the old school Kung Fu, Kung Fu guy on the on the mountain and stuff with the long mustache and everything. Well, the executive producer and the director felt that they wanted more diversity in the Doctor Strange movie, which they had in 2016. We're not talking about the next one coming out. So they casted Tilda Swinton. Yeah, Swim Fan. As the Ancient One. So that's the bald lady that you saw in the movie, or if you watched in game, the one that knocked the Hulk soul like right out of his body. So they went and said that they wanted to they felt like they made a slight boo-boo because they didn't want to stereotype the Ancient One as, just the typical, old knowledgeable Asian. And they wanted to add some diversity, so they felt that they would have her play the part. In which case you could say that would be like whitewashing, meaning having this character that could be Asian be made into a Caucasian. So, yes. So, Fahey said in this magazine, and it's kind of weird how it works because in this Men's Health magazine, they're talking about the main actor who's going to play Shang-Chi. Because that's the next, big...
Later this year.
Yeah, later this year. It looks pretty cool to actually have the Mandarin in it. I'm more pumped about that than Shang-Chi, to be honest with you. Shang-Chi. But, yes, so... They wanted to kind of apologize and just say, hey, look, we wanted to add more diversity to this movie, but now looking back at it, maybe that wasn't necessarily the right way to go as opposed to stereotyping an Asian character. So
they're apologizing for this.
Yes.
I'm still waiting for my apology for the Mandarin.
You and me both. I'm glad you read my mind because, yes. So do you think that in this case, is this the case that Fahey should apologize?
No,
for
the Mandarin. Totally.
Yeah, he needs to start there.
Yes.
And so
you could pull all that. Yeah, it wasn't the real Mandarin, and we're going to bring the real Mandarin in at some point in time. But spoilers: Tony Stark is dead. Iron Man's gone.
Yes,
you're never going to get that Mandarin Iron Man fight that you were hoping that you were going to get in Iron Man 3. It's ruined.
You know how I feel about it. I'm glad you said it because I could have talked an easy hour and a half about how much I hate Iron Man 3 because of that incident. And yes, Ben Kingsley is a nice actor. I'm sure he's very good in other parts. Just, it doesn't work for this one. I agree. I don't think Kevin Feige needs to apologize for his casting of the Ancient One in this movie. But what say you, Kevin?
I don't think he needs to apologize for. Well, what is the Ancient One in the comic books?
Ancient One is an Asian male, and he just sits on. It's like in Tibet though.
Oh, okay.
So what they tried to spin here is they said that the Ancient One like comes in all monikers, and in this particular case, it's Celtic. That's how they explain the Ancient One, being the
Do the Ancient
older
Ones
white lady.
change? Like when one dies, another one takes over?
In the comics, I've never seen that. They've always been Asian. They've never been, I've never seen one where like 1 minute it's an Asian man, the next time it's Florida Evans. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never seen that occur.
But there are multiple ancient ones.
We
don't know if they're all Asian ancient ones.
Yes, that's what they're going with. What they're saying, this one is different culture. But in the comics, though, I mean, let's face it, MCU has really just said, hey, we like a comic idea, but we're just going to take whatever we want and just do whatever we want with it. Now, the thing that's funny, though, is that there's still Mordo, who is who was Doctor Strange's like sidekick, but then turned out to be a villain.
Yeah.
In the comics, he's Asian, but in the movie, he's a brother.
He's a brother.
He's black.
Well, doesn't that cancel it out then?
I'm just saying, I know yin and yang is one thing, but yes, you're worried about whitewashing, but there's some blackwashing still going on.
Wow.
Can we say that?
Blackwashing?
You could say it more than I could.
I know, that's why I said it. I wanted
Good.
to. I wasn't sure you could. I just don't know if that's a real term, but.
Wow. I need to see the equation as to which can't. So, yeah, I would have to think that Tilda Swinton, I mean, at least say what you will. I mean, she's an Academy Award winning actress.
Yes.
She was willing to shave her head for the part. I mean, she did a fantastic job. And she did it all to play what, like a B-level character? Not even really B, like Doctor Strange is B, C, maybe even D-level character.
That's somebody you never really hear of.
Right. I mean, 90% of people...
You don't really hear of?
No, that's not. No.
Okay.
Did you know Ancient One before the... No. I knew Doctor Strange. I'd seen him in the comics. Mm-hmm. I don't recall this Ancient One character. Now, having said that, I know Doctor Strange from... like Infinity War and a couple other books. Like I never really bought his book solo.
Right. Okay.
But
the Ancient One has always been Mongolian kind of that kind of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, look, my views on this, like when it comes to like race swapping and gender swapping in the comic books, as long as it's a character that is not like a main character, not an iconic character that on sight, you know exactly who that is. Even if you're a casual fan who never picked up a book, you know who that is. You can play around with anybody. You want to, change Jimmy Olsen or Perry White or the Ancient One or I don't know, name him Mordo. You want to change Mordo? Change him. Anybody. What? I mean, you're not talking about an established iconic character. Like. Even with the Green Lanterns, like I wasn't a fan. Like they kept shoving Jon Stewart into the Justice League so they could say like, look, diversity. We got a brother. Meanwhile, they're picking the most boring Green Lantern character. I mean,
he's pretty stoic.
There's not a whole lot of personality. Guy Gardner, Kal Rayner, Hal Jordan were all more interesting than Jon Stewart. But I'm kind of losing myself there. That's what I think. Like I think it's if you've got a character that isn't a fairly well established character. That most people don't really know is a supplemental side character. What does it matter? I mean, no one cared that they flipped. Okay. Nick Fury for Samuel L. Jackson. Nick Fury's a white guy. They changed him to Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, but with that in the comics, he was kind of drawn that way too.
Well, in the ultimate version of the comics, he was drawn that way.
So it was kind of like
he was drawn like Samuel Jackson.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. So that's kind of it's still surreal.
In one storyline, and it was like kind of an offshoot storyline where the Hulk actually eats people.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh wow,
the Hulk I think ate Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, he ate soldiers.
Yes.
Like Mark Millar was the writer for that. I actually met him once, and I told him to his face, like, that was awesome. I've never seen the Hulk eat people. I thank you. That was great.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm glad you liked it.
I can tell you what, in like the Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes cartoon series, Nick Fury was a brother. was like a Samuel Jackson looking type guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I saw the movies come out, I'm like, I wonder if they based it on the cartoon more so than the comic book, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, again, there was one version, there was one offshoot of the comics that it wasn't even the real Avengers. It was like the Ultimate Avengers.
It was the ultimate storyline.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Because it's
interesting.
like the normal one was like there was a 616, and yeah, we'll get deep, but yeah, they made that offshoot split, and that's how you had Miles Morales.
Well, like,
okay.
even Mary Jane. Like when they recast Mary Jane in New Spider-Man
Oh,
movies,
the Homecoming ones and all
yes,
that?
like
yeah, okay.
I'm like looking for this redheaded type girl, and then they went and cast a person of color, I guess is what you call it. I don't know.
But she was somebody famous. Not famous to me. But,
I was going to say, like, okay, she was like 16. I don't know what she did that made her all that famous prior to that, but I didn't know who she was until then.
Or something.
But God bless. I mean, she does a fantastic job in the role and stuff. My biggest thing was, where's the red hair?
Yeah.
It's like there's only one thing I know about Mary Jane that's iconic, and that's the red hair.
And you've hit the jackpot, Tiger.
Yes.
Well, you
That's
know
all
what's
it
interesting
lies
about that? I just learned about this recently. Is that Zendaya's character, is the actress that plays MJ in those new films, is not meant to be the MJ Mary Jane. What was explained, and I thought this was interesting. I read in an article that that MJ is supposed to be Michelle Jones, which is the character they made up for the MCU. So but because I always wondered, I was talking with this with friends, like, why is Zendaya's Mary Jane so different from like what I know in the comic books or what in the previous movies? Like, Mary Jane's like all, I don't want to say bubbly, but you know what I'm talking. She's a little more. She's not as like
No, yeah, she's not.
Yeah.
I want to say dark, but
right. It's like why is Zendaya's MJ totally different? And then when researching it, it's like, I happened to find the article I was looking at, and it says that she's not exactly Mary Jane. Zendaya's MJ, aka Michelle Jones, is sort of a half twist, half homage to the original character. I don't know where the half homage is, but apparently it's purely a character created for the MCU. Interesting enough, I had no idea until maybe 3 years ago when I was watching the movie, and I'm like, why is she totally different than Kirsten Dunst's MJ?
Interesting. Yeah. I had no idea that was the angle that they were going. I mean, obviously they're using MJ. It's meant to suggest her.
Yeah. So I guess that's where the half homage is.
Right.
But in fact, her name is actually supposed to be Michelle Jones.
But I mean, isn't that just as bad as what they're accusing them of doing with this character, where you're not? You got. I got to understand what their issue is with the whole idea of what they say whitewash. Why do they care? Is it because?
You talking about in this instance?
In this instance, they care because they're not being true to the source material? Because if that's the argument, then I'm sympathetic to that argument.
The way I get it from the article is they were worried that that character, the Ancient One, is going to be seen as a stereotypical Asian. That's how they felt that it would be.
No, but I'm saying, why does he feel sorry that he did it? Why does he call what he did whitewashing a character? Is it because he felt like he should have been more?
He should have stuck with what they kind of I get it, like what the character kind of would be, but
so isn't that the same thing? So if you're supposed to be true to you're supposed to stick to the source material and be true to what the character was meant to be. Isn't that the same thing as changing up Mary Jane and calling her Michelle Jones? And,
Yes. I mean, I think that
it's no different than them using Hank Pym should be contemporaries with Tony Stark and not his dad, which I'm not bitter about, but whatever.
Yeah, see, you have a right to be bitter about that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like same thing with the Mandarin thing. I mean, I'm mad about that. I am, and that's because again, they're using the original material, but it's almost like what you want to use to change to fit whatever you think you need or you think the audience needs. It would save you if you just stuck with what you already had, because then you can say, yeah, the Ancient One is an Asian guy. It's not a stereotypical thing. We stuck to this material. MJ's a redhead, like the Mandarin, he is an Asian man who's a very powerful villain. And you don't have to trick people and then have to come back later and then like eat crow for it. I think in this instance, I don't think they need to apologize for who they cast here. I mean, like you said, she was a good part. I didn't really look at it like, oh, I'm out the movie now. I can't believe this woman knows how to do all this cool stuff. No, I was
cool with it. I thought it was fine. I had no problem with it.
Yeah,
if I'm Tilda Swinton right now, I'm kind of pissed. Like, wait a minute. I show up on set, I do the job, I knock it out of the park, I shave my head so I could look like the character that you envisioned. I did my job, and now you're running around telling the news. I regret ever having cast her.
I know, that's pretty terrible, right?
Exactly, and then making it kind of sounding like a racial thing at the very least.
Yeah, because now you're talking about this Asian American movie that's coming out that you're promoting.
Well, and now it kind of puts the pressure on Tilda Swinton to apologize for having accepted the role.
Oh, man.
As opposed to just saying, oh, you know what, I should have turned that role down because that role was meant for an Asian
male
man.
or female
Person.
Well, they could have
And that's
cast
another
an
question.
Asian woman for it if they really wanted diversity.
Okay, but then would that have been okay? Because now, again, you're leaving the source material aside, and now you're changing it from a man to a woman. What is that okay? Now, so race swapping bad, gender swapping okay?
Oh boy. Well, I think they should keep it as it is, but they've done that with the characters as well, where like because it was always like a Spider-Man, it was a Spider-Woman, that kind of stuff. I don't really
Spider-Girl.
Yeah, I don't really. I think if, like you said earlier, if it's a style character, that might be extremely different.
Yes.
I don't know how it works if, say, you have Black Panther played by Jackie Chan. I don't know how that worked.
No, it wouldn't work. No
Yeah.
one, I've said it before. No one wants to watch Jaws and like, oh, here you go, here's Jaws, and now instead of a shark, a dolphin.
Yeah.
No one wants to see that movie.
Dolphin with a piece of like aluminum foil taped to the back. Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna make the Punisher, but he's not gonna have the skull shirt. We're gonna give you Batman, but he's gonna have nipples on his suit. Those
And
things,
floppy ears.
Yeah.
Anything iconic matters.
Yeah.
In the representation of the character, you can't just race swap, gender swap, willy nilly when it comes to iconic characters. You kind of have to be faithful to the source material or make a new. Like you said, like Miles Morales is Spider-Man, but he's a different Spider-Man. He's not Peter Parker.
Right.
That kind of thing. Where
Yeah.
you make a new character out of him. You don't just, say, hey, that's Bruce Wayne, but now Bruce Wayne's a black man. You come up with another guy who took up the mantle of Batman. I think they do have a guy, and I struggle to remember his name.
What?
There was a black Batman at one point.
Yeah.
Batman?
Yeah. Well, they just recently make one with Lucius Fox's kid, right?
Okay, maybe that's. I don't remember. I thought it was the one Stan Lee did.
Oh, God, yes. Okay. Well, that's a completely different like origin story. Yes, you're right. That was like a guy that was not Bruce Wayne. He was somebody else.
But that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. It
Yes.
should not be Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
People have an idea in their head. They see Bruce Wayne. That's who the character is meant to be. You want to make a Green Lantern, and he can be any person you want to. Cool. Just give him a different name, and he's just a guy who gets the ring. But when you're dealing with iconic characters, it's hard to get around changing who those people, who they are, what they look like, and that. Just because you have an expectation when you see them on screen,
basically you want to see your comic book come to life.
That's exactly it.
And that's very poignant.
Because if you're a fan of the comic, you've followed it for this person, and you want them to take this material seriously. The minute you hear that they're casting somebody that doesn't look like it, or that they see a picture and the suit doesn't, they're already saying, okay, this person could care less about the book that I grew up loving. Why am I going to go pay money to see this?
Well, that's why that Fantastic Four, like I like Michael B. Jordan. I mean, of course he's Killmonger in Black Panther, but they had him cast as the Human Torch in this one Fantastic Four movie, and I remember
That was a terrible movie.
Yeah, people lost their minds, and there was a talk about this within that, and it was the main thing to say it's nothing against, like you said with Tilda, she just picked up roles. The same thing with him, but it's still you're like, hey, I'm sorry, man, you're not Johnny Storm. You can be like anybody else, but just in that mantle, my vision has been trained to know Johnny Storm is a blonde-haired, hot-headed, guy.
But even then, I would accept that because, again, Johnny Storm isn't exactly... People don't hear Johnny Storm and they know, oh, that's the guy from the Fantastic Four. If you say Fantastic Four, people have a better idea what you're talking about, I think. I don't know. I think you get around Johnny Storm.
I mean, okay, but I don't think
I'm with you. I think you either have to apply the standard completely and say, okay, we're going to be true to source material, and we're not going to gender swap, race swap. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to be true to the material. Or once you start doing it, you can't apologize for doing it to one race and not another. And this is okay when we.
It's going to implode on itself.
It's okay to replace an Asian with a black man, but not with a white woman. I don't. Show me the equation. Show me the rules. That way, I have some sense of what's right or what's wrong. Because otherwise, what you're.
It's more like show me the money.
Yeah.
We should have played the woke theme on this one because I think that's also like a development or a part of it. And look, my last thing to say is that MCU could make any hero just look great. I mean, like, there's plenty of material to choose from with Marvel. There's plenty of stories to make. I mean, you can take any character from any race or, any gender, and you can make a great movie. I mean, that's what they've done. And that's just what I think they should concentrate on doing. And just make the movie and walk away.
Yeah, tell good stories.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Hey, Eli, what'd you think about that video?
Hey, D, that was the best thing we've ever done.
I think we can only get better, though.
There's only one way to go but up.
That's right. And the only way you can up us
is to like us.
That's right.
And if you want to like us, what else can you do?
You can subscribe to us.
You can subscribe, and you can comment.
And if you didn't like us, forgive us. Because we are only human, and we make mistakes as well.
But not many.
No.
Not many.
No.
But if you saw a mistake, you got to comment.
Yes, and let us know what the mistake is, and we'll aim to please next time. We promise.
Or like the comment that you mentioned about our mistake, which we didn't make.